Welcome everyone, I'm Axton Pitt, co-founder and CEO of Litmaps, and I've got another member of our team joining us, Marina, who's our marketing manager. She can say hi.
Hi.
And welcome to our first Research with Litmaps webinar for librarians. So we're going to cover how to research with our tool, as well as how Litmaps can help your organization. So I'm excited to dive into that. So today we're just going to cover three things. Pretty simple. We're going to have an overview of where Litmaps fits into the research workflow, in particular literature reviews. Then we're going to dive into how Litmaps can help your institution in particular, so how we help to achieve some of your goals, as well as how we could work with you and get Litmaps into your organization. And lastly, just going over questions that we might not have covered. Feel free to ask anything that you can think of that would help understand Litmaps further and help you understand how we can fit in. For the literature review process and where we fit, I've got something from the University of Texas around what a literature review process looks like. So there's 7 steps here, and everyone defines these things differently. So hopefully you can identify with this. And so we really fit in with the center section here. So we help you understand what content or literature to select, how to review and understand those results, and then apply that to your write-up. And so, as we know, this process is not a linear train, it is a loop. So in this cycle, we do see us fitting in with the blue and the yellow arrows as well. So this is just a different way of looking at it from Monash. With those two use cases in the middle, we've got 3 use cases that really help explain that. So exploring a field from scratch or a new area, finding a research gap, which is something that a lot of students think about, and then how do you visualize connections between papers to understand what's useful or communicate your research. So to start, we're just going to kick into exploring a field itself. So this is where you're trying to get a bird's eye view of a new topic. You may not be familiar with the area, and you're trying to understand the most important articles and how they connect with each other. And this is really targeted at PhD and master's level students and researchers. So it's really great for them. Obviously, it applies beyond that as well. And so what we're going to demonstrate is really our search features. So how you have different algorithms and filters, as well as how you can visualize the results through our Litmap, as well as understanding how to get the most out of it. So I'm going to do a demo of this right now. So this is litmaps.com. This is our application. You might see this a bit differently on our website. Just go to the top right and click login to create an account and get into this tool. And so I've created a workspace. I've got lots of maps on different areas that I'm looking into. I'm going to change to a particular research topic, which is computer science or improving solving algorithms. And what I've done here is created 3 maps on those different topic areas. But to start, I want to dive into something new. That's what we're demonstrating. And so I'm going to do a keyword search. So we have a keyword search selector, I guess, and we do support different search engines. So by default, we use Google Scholar. You also have Semantic Scholar and our own search engine just to look up things by DOI, for example. So if you type in either a particular paper name that you know or a topic area, that's a great way to start. So I'm seeing a few things. Actually, I wanted to add deep learning on the end here. So I just want to refine the keywords and the topic further. Okay, great. Let's say this first paper is really good. And what we can do with Litmaps is you can take this first paper and we expand and generate a Litmap for you, which is saying what are the most connected literature around this input paper and surfacing the top 20 for you. So if you concentrate on the left side of the screen, we have a rank ordered list. So from that paper I'm starting from, this is the most interesting paper to look into first. And then you sort of go down this list here. And on the right, we have the Litmap itself. So this is a visualization showing the papers that I have of my own literature. And these hollow dots are recommendations to me. So I can see an x-axis representing time. So I've got an early paper in the 70s here. And on the right, I have 2016, some papers from there. In the vertical axis, we have citation count. So this is how many times these papers are cited by others. And so that gives you a sense of maybe importance or influence in the field. And we also have the size of these dots, which at the moment represents how many references they have. So maybe they're a review paper if they're really large, or they're a small, they might not be if they're a smaller dot. So as I go through, this is a way of triaging these results. And as a researcher, you probably want to spend a lot longer doing this, but we'll sort of fast forward through that. So you might look at these papers, you can click on them, read the abstract, get a sense of whether it's relevant. You can also click on the title to go to the actual full text using DOIs or other links. And you can further triage the paper there. So once I've done that full loop, I can then say, hey, look, this paper is really on topic. I'm going to add this to my map, and I want to see more papers like this. So this is a way of bootstrapping from one or a few papers or none to start to increase your reference library. And as you go through, obviously, we're looking at all these different signals to help us understand whether these papers are relevant. So we've got the citation count, we've got the keywords of the topic, as well as the journal that they're in. So this is giving the students or the people looking to enter a new field ways of understanding what they're seeing. And these are not just citations cited by and citations of this paper. There is also co-citations. So we're getting a wide net around the papers that I know to help us understand. And so we will touch on this in the next section, but we have different algorithms that we use. So Litmaps as a tool has different techniques to search, so across citations, across authors, as well as content. We also support date ranging and keyword filters. So if you're really interested in a particular set of keywords that all these papers have to have, it'll make sure that results have these in the title, the abstract, or the authors. So I can update these results. Great. And I will show some of these other methods. Let's try the co-authorship. So this is showing the papers that we've put into the tool, who are the most common co-authors or authors, and what papers have they worked on together. And so this is a great way of identifying new lab groups or other teams around the world working on these sorts of topics, and then drilling into those, their publications. So this looks great. And as I'm going through, I want to be tagging these things. So I've created these tags beforehand, and I can start to say which category these fit into. So I might put this into sorting networks. And then the papers that I see start to become colored, and you get a sense of what topics these papers are based on. Great. And so for relevance, to understand this visualization, there's lots of areas that you can improve. So you can say, I actually want to size these dots by momentum. So this is a factor of citations over time. So if they're a new paper and they've got relatively more citations than usual, then there'll be a larger dot. And that's a great way to identify rising stars or papers that are standing out. So for example, in this is a way of saying, hey, this paper might be more relevant. We also have a size based on map relevance. So this is how interconnected they are with the other papers on our map. So this then stands out. Some of these Lee papers are really, really interesting. That's a brief overview. I will jump back into the slides. So hopefully that gave you a taste of how we can help you start to explore a field. Marina has done a great video on this on our YouTube channel. So if you search for Litmaps on YouTube or go to our help center at docs.litmaps.com, you'll see a great help article about this, as well as a full video walkthrough that she's done. So I'll let her great walkthrough help this further. So the next area I want to go into is research gaps. So this is where you really want to contribute something novel to your field. So researchers want to have, new ground that they're working on, so that helps them, contribute to the field and push it forward. So this is really targeted at everyone who's in the scientific or in the academy. And so we want to show how we can help drive this. So this is really going to combine some of those advanced search techniques, as well as different map layouts to help you understand that. So let's do another demo on this. So research gaps is a really difficult topic to demo, and obviously we only have a few minutes here. So I'll try to do my best. So a lot of the things that we're thinking about is, is there not many papers in this area? Are they on topic, and do they include all of my keywords or all of my, maybe it's in the intersection of two areas, so maybe you're not seeing papers that cover both. So we really want to highlight that in the types of searches that we do. So for example, I have a bunch of maps that I've created previously. So maybe I'll go to this deep reinforcement learning map. So I've got a couple of different topics on here. So I've got hardware utilization and optimizing sorting algorithms. So I might want to see, are there papers on both of these topics together? And so what I can do is create new searches with this map and see what results come out that match both of these topic areas. So we're going to do a normal citation search. And we'll change. And so I'm really looking for hardware utilization and optimizing sort algorithms. So this is something that is hard to evaluate as a non-expert, but if you were really honed in, you would be able to read through each of these papers and make some of those calls. So I'm going to say this is relevant, this looks relevant, and I'm going to tag these to different topics. So as I go through, I can keep updating these results. So this is an iterative process. And so you'll start to filter out papers that are on topic or not. And so you can say, not only do I want to see more papers like this, I can also say I don't want to see this recommendation. So you're essentially driving the algorithm towards the areas that you care about. And in this way, we're hoping to drive people towards those gaps. So for argument's sake, I'm going to say none of these are relevant. And again, this is super speed. I think this type of work would take a bit longer, but obviously we're trying to speed this up for people. So at this point, I'm seeing lots of results, but I'm saying, hey, look, these are not on these two topic areas, and I can see the papers that I've put in, they're starting to have less common citations between these two topic areas. So I can start to say, hey, maybe this is a gap. And then I can switch to other search types, such as this content similarity. So this should just be on the content itself. So you might find papers that are in different languages with different lab groups in other parts of the world that haven't cited the papers that you know. So it's a good way of pulling out whether there's actually a research gap. And this search type can take a little bit longer because it's sort of analyzing all of the titles and abstracts. But it's great that it's finished. So now I can see, hey, you know, there's some hardware papers here, but nothing that's sort of improving both sorting and hardware. So this is also a good indication that I'm on the right track. But then I can say, hey, look, I don't really want recent papers in this area because, you know, these types of topics might be new. And so I want to focus all of our search on just the last couple of years. Okay, great. So there is a few papers that don't have any citations. So these are things that I should really look into. And you'll be able to determine whether they're actually on topic or not, just by the keywords and diving into their abstracts. As a researcher, this will give you a good sense of whether you're on the right track for your research question and topic area, and whether there's a gap that you can fit into. And as I mentioned, we have more content on this. This is meant to give you a taste so you can see what types of tools we have. So we have the citation searching, author searching, and content searching to combine three great ways to understand the literature landscape and help people find those gaps. And we have a great video again from Marina around an approach to this, which is similar to what I've done, and a help topic in our help center. So the last area is really around, you know, how do these visual literature maps help you form connections and understanding? So this is for students and professional staff. And we see this as a way of presenting your knowledge as well. So you can say, hey, look, this is my expertise. I've created a lit map on this, and that can be a communication tool to others. And people have put this into publications to understand the literature review and represent the search that they've done. So I'm going to demonstrate a bit more about the custom lit maps you can create, as well as the different options for map layouts. So if I jump back at the starting point of a map, there is this visualize your research option here. So what I can do is open this, and this gives us a canvas to annotate essentially the map itself. So I can do things like click on a paper and add a little label. You can say really important. And so you can mark things up to help communicate why these things are relevant. You can also add text labels, as well as region selection. So this is maybe some of the early breakthroughs in the field. So this creates a sort of a piece of material that you can send to others and say, hey, look, this is the field and this is how I understand it. And so this can be exported and shared. So you can create a link to this map and so other people can view this, as well as you can take a snapshot of this to, again, put into different publications or put on your lab group's website to show how this is useful. And we have lots of options for how the map can be laid out. So as I mentioned before, litmaps have date on the x-axis and citation count vertically. You can modify this. We support reference count vertically, so you can see maybe all the review papers at the top. You can also put momentum on this y-axis, so you can really see how those early papers stand out. And map relevance, so papers that are super connected to your map become the top papers vertically. There's also the ability to move papers around, so you can say collect. I'll have to change this. So you can put papers in certain areas. I'm not sure what that's. There we go. So you can put papers in different areas of the map to create a little mind map for yourself. So it's not necessarily time-based, and you'll get notified that it has changed, so you can always revert them back. So this is a really interesting design mode for people starting to explore how to share their work. So it is under development, and we're getting feedback from users for this. We think it's a really exciting way to present your results. And I do want to mention a couple of things, as this is our last demo. All of these papers that you get into the tool, you can export. So we support different types of exporting, as well as importing. So we're working with reference management tools to get papers into and out of the tool. And lastly, you can keep up to date with our tool. So we're monitoring like you would expect. So you'll get new alerts every week as we import new data. Great. So we don't have a video on this in particular, but we do have a great help page to help you understand all of the different ways of visualizing literature. So there's all the different map modes that we have and ways of looking at the different axes to understand which papers are useful for my area. So please dive into this when you get a chance. How does Litmaps work? So this section is just a little bit more about our tool and the data behind it. So we do have over 270 million papers. So we're really relying on the open access metadata repositories such as Crossref. We also use Semantic Scholar and OpenAlex. So we've imported these data sets and created our own database from that. And so it is quite large compared to our competitors. And so we do have a great coverage of academia. So there is lots of questions around, how do we handle different citations and lots of problems around that. So we try to select the best papers in these cases. So the most cited, the published papers that aren't preprints. So we do have more about this in our help docs as well, but we are taking care to include some of the best content in our platform. So I do want to kick into how we can help your institution. So there's lots of different ways that we want to support your staff and students. So our goal is to help get the latest technology, such as Litmaps, to advance their work. So there's 3 areas we really think we help with. So in pedagogical ways, we want to help teach undergraduates. So it's a great tool that we've seen lecturers use to present how citations and papers work, as well as how the research process works. It's also enhancing graduate student success. So we've had lots of individual users use Litmaps to kickstart their project, as well as their teams and their research groups, and really take the pain out of doing those initial literature searches. So we really want to help PhDs and masters get the most out of their degree. And lastly, to communicate that impact. So we can really show researchers how how much impact they've had in the field, and create these litmaps to do that. So I do want to, we do have a special guest joining us, Michael Hanegan. So he's going to help us understand how we compare to other tools in the area. I could do this, but it would be great to have someone who's evaluating these tools in this new wave. So we think we have lots of different algorithms to help us stand out, and I'll hand over Michael to see what he thinks. Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Axton. I've spent a lot of time with some of these other tools that run in this same area. Can you go back to the slide that showed your database sizes? I think that's probably an easy way to see. Like, spending time with like consensus and connected papers, elicit, and cite. Like, one of the things that I've come to appreciate about Litmaps is its capacity to give you so many different ways to manipulate the same information, right? Axton did a great job of showing all the different ways that you can engage to kind of get a feel for what's moving in the literature, what's important in the literature, where there might be value, where there might be kind of an underestimation of momentum. I think the momentum piece is particularly really, really interesting. I think, too, part of what I appreciate about Litmaps more than these other tools is the way in which it really does provide for librarians a place to really hone in on the things that make librarians unique users of these tools. So, one of those is that obviously, while this tool does a lot of work for us that we have traditionally done through Boolean search and just through kind of hunting and hoping and praying that we have the results that we're looking for, these tools are increasingly useful in the context of things that librarians are uniquely suited to give us, like information literacy, to help people understand, okay, I can now see in one place the abstract, the citation, the subsequent use in other papers, the momentum of those things. What does that mean? Like, to kind of that underlying wisdom to understand the difference between this paper is connected and this paper is valuable for what I'm doing. There's also, too, the capacity for librarians to really think about how these tools connect to the larger work of knowledge management. What does it mean to manage papers when I can access so many more papers of higher quality so much faster? If I lack kind of those knowledge management skills, then a tool like Litmaps just makes me even more overwhelmed than when I was just kind of hunting around hoping to find 2 or 3, because now I have access to a dizzying number of papers. And so, these are tools where they're powerful and they're useful, but the real contribution, I think, is the synergy that's created between a tool like Litmaps and the kind of underlying work and expertise of librarians. The other piece that I think is really exciting for librarians is that this enables the librarian in an interesting way to move beyond the limitations of their subject matter expertise. So when a student comes to you, or a faculty member or an associate comes and says, I need to find some literature in this field, and it's completely unrelated to the field in which you actually have expertise, these tools provide you a kind of disproportionate advantage in helping people to find tools that are useful, to find sources that are meaningful for their work. And so while we might have been traditionally kind of siloed in our areas of expertise as far as our capacity to search, Litmaps really offers a really interesting way for librarians to kind of break those boundaries that have just been, frankly, a limit of technology and the ability to only have so much expertise on hand as a given individual. And so really what I think this tool does beautifully is it not only enhances kind of the rigor and quality of our work, but it gives us a great opportunity to think meaningfully about the creativity and the wisdom that are necessary to make sense of all of this scholarship. And so I find that Litmaps is kind of more naturally attuned to those kinds of commitments, the kind of like underlying pedagogy and design questions than some of the other tools. And I mean, this is a tool that's just been really important for my own work. So thanks so much for having me today. I'm happy to answer anything else, but thanks for being here.
Thanks so much. Thanks for that, Michael. That was awesome. Great to hear how you've been thinking about these things and how we can help. The last step is, we are listening. So we have engaged with libraries, and there is some things in our roadmap that I think you'll be excited about. So I did want to run through some of those. So for libraries, we are going to offer different login options. So we know we don't want everyone to create new accounts and have tons of different logins. So we want to support SSO through our different university accounts, as well as IP-based authentication. So things like Easy Proxy to help you get into our tool faster. We also have full text access coming through LibKey. So we're going to help support access to the content that you already subscribe and pay for. So they can, in the tool, have one click and get to the right full text. We're also building reference manager support, so direct syncing with Zotero, for example. So content is going to come from their libraries really quickly coming in. So we do support importing already. So we have BibTeX, RAS, and other formats to get papers in and out. But this sync will be sort of a real-time magic kind of experience, which is going to be great. And we also have journal filters coming. So in these results and searches that you're going to do, users will be able to select, the types of journals they want to see in results, because we know it's pretty important for someone to have just the right types of journals that are really impactful for them or have the relevant sort of content. There's a quick question there. Oh, right, yeah. So for this sync, Elizabeth, this is for Zotero as our first step, and we'll look at other reference managers. We already support RAS for importing and exporting. So it's more about that real-time live sync, but we do have those great import methods as well. You might be thinking, how's this sort of work? So some of the pricing options are really tailored to your organization. So we'll provide a quote based on how big you are, how many users, for example, or just what is really going to work for your organization, because we're really keen to make these deployments work. And it's really going to be based on a trial, so how successful that is, and we'll work with you through that process. So speaking of trials, we do have a process for that. So we've done a few of these, and we kind of know what would work well. And so we really have a structure that we've set up for this. So we have support throughout a trial. So we really have 3 key touch points. So the kickoff meeting, where we understand the context and try and set you up for success. We have a feedback session halfway through, so you can relay to us what's working, what's not working, and then a sort of one at the end for next steps going forward. We provide institutional reporting, so you'll be able to see aggregate metrics, usage in different content areas, as well as specific user metrics if you like to see the expertise in different areas and how people are using the tool. We also can set up a custom webinar or workshop for students and staff. So that's not only for educating your team in the library, but also for rolling out the tool to students to get them interested in the tool. So we've found that works really well. And if that's advertised directly to your people. And so we really have a communication structure that we recommend. So, the cadence and frequency of outreach, because we've found the more that you do in that area, the more effective the trial becomes. And so this is really a special thing we're setting off next month. So for June, we're running these institutional trials for libraries. So go to this website, litmaps.com/June24. And so this is a time-limited offer where we're setting up trials in June and want to get as many as we can on board. And so there's a form there that we'll fill out and provide next steps. And we'll have an initial meeting to kick off those trials. I think that's most of the content that I had today. The last thing I do want to call out again is we will be at Valor 2024. So I'll be doing a talk. If you're in the APAC region, there's a conference in Australia. So I'll be doing that in July. So hopefully if you're there, we'll see you there. And once again, just calling out our institutional trials. So please sign up and we'll get in touch with you to set up a trial for your institution. We'll leave it there, and thanks so much for attending. This is great to have our librarian webinar about Litmaps and how we can help you with your students' research. We'll see you at the next one.